Hey dudes, I'm Hilah, and today on Hilah Cooking, we're making Sopapilla cheesecake, not the Pillsbury recipe that's all over the place. This is my Sopapilla cheesecake. Sopapilla cheesecake, let's all make some Sopapilla cheesecake. We're not using crescent roll dough. We are instead going to make a sort of a French topping. I believe it's pronounced Craquelin. I've never had this. I've read about it, and as soon as I read it, I was like, oh my god, this would be perfect to put on top of a cheesecake. So basically you make like a little cookie and put a little raw cookie dough circle on top of your cheesecake, and as it cooks, it makes a crunchy little layer. So I've got some softened butter here. It's a really easy ratio. Quarter cup of butter, and a third of a cup of light brown sugar. I think you could probably use like raw or turbinado sugar too. And we're gonna mix this together. So yeah, this was, a lot of times I guess they'll put this little dough on top of choux pastry buns, and choux pastry is the same stuff that churros are made out of, and gougères. And I've done videos on both of those, so I'll put a card up here if you wanna see how to do those and see what the heck is choux pastry. Okay, so once this is smooth and combined, we're gonna add in a half a cup of flour. And then my addition is ground cinnamon. Okay, once you've got kind of a little dough here, it's all sort of come together. Put down some wax paper. Parchment paper also works. And we're gonna roll it out into a thin little sheet, just like if you were making cookies. I'd say like a 1/16 of an inch or like a couple millimeters. Once it's rolled out, we'll slide it onto a baking sheet or something that'll fit in your fridge, and we're gonna refrigerate it to let it firm up while we make the cheesecake. For the cheesecake batter, you wanna be really sure that you've got all your ingredients at room temperature. So I've got 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese that are gonna go into my mixer. And if you've never had a sopapilla, or if you don't know what they are, it's kind of like a donut or a beignet. They're Mexican, I believe, origin. And it's like a little fried dough square, and they puff up, and a lot of times they're dusted with cinnamon sugar and then served with honey drizzled on top. So the cinnamon, obviously, it came with our little Craquelin topping. And then for the cheesecake here, I'm gonna add some honey to the batter to give it a little bit of a honey flavor to make it more sopapilla-like. Should have had this done already, sorry. I'm gonna add a little bit of cornstarch, and this, normally I wouldn't add cornstarch to a cheesecake, but because we're adding the honey, this helps kind of stabilize it a little bit. So get that in, and just start beating this until it's kind of starts to get a little bit fluffy. A couple tablespoons of honey. And then we're gonna beat this until it's fluffy, and then we're gonna slowly sprinkle in half a cup of sugar. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract, 2 eggs, one at a time. So get this one incorporated, and then we'll add in another. And I'm also at this point gonna add in a little bit of salt. Okay, this looks lovely. It's nice and smooth. And the sugar should be fairly sort of dissolved looking. Because these are mini cheesecakes, because that's the kind of cheesecakes I like to make, because they don't take very long to cook and then you can eat them faster. I'm doing 12 little muffin tins here, and I put a vanilla wafer in the bottom of each one. I've also used Ritz crackers or buttery round crackers if you're buying generic ones, and those work well too. So I'm gonna put about a 1/4 cup scoop of the cheesecake batter into each little cup. All right, once all of your little cups are filled, we're going back to our Craquelin, which you can see is nice and firm now. And we're just gonna cut out little circles to go on top. So you want a size that's smaller than the top of your cupcake. This happens to be the one that I have. I think a little bit bigger than this would be good too though. And just place it right in the middle of the cupcake. So once they're all topped with the Craquelin, we'll put them in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes or until they're slightly puffed up and the edges should be just barely golden brown. Once they're cooked, you'll pull them out of the oven and let them cool in the pan for about 5 minutes. Then carefully lift them out, put them on a rack, let them cool completely, and refrigerate them. These are much better when they're served cold. I think the texture's a lot better. All right, and these are some that I made yesterday that have been completely cooled. If you want to garnish, a raspberry is really pretty, so a drizzle of honey is nice, or you could just add a little extra sprinkle of cinnamon sugar. And be sure to also check out my churros video that I mentioned earlier for another like cinnamon dessert and also to learn about choux pastry. And also I did a cranberry mini cheesecake for Thanksgiving a couple years ago, so I'll put a card up there for both of those. Let's taste this mother. Sopapilla cheesecake, Sopapilla cheesecake. Oh man. Yee. See, it's so cute. I love little individual serving desserts for big family gatherings because then you can just get a whole bunch of little bits on your plate. Little crunchy top. And I love cheesecake. Please don't forget to subscribe. You can click that little button right down there, lower left of your screen, or right underneath my body. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.